That's Elvis Presley. It's 5:31 in New York here at CBS-FM. This is the news as we have it so far, and CBS-FM News is following up on this. The Associated Press is reporting that singer Elvis Presley has died at Baptist Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, at the age of 42. Presley was rushed to the hospital earlier today with a respiratory ailment and was reported in serious condition. Now, according to the Associated Press, Elvis Presley has died in a Memphis hospital at the age of 42. CBS-FM, where all the good songs have gone. Repeating the bulletin, the Associated Press is reporting that singer Elvis Presley has died at Baptist Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, at the age of 42. And an update on this, police in Memphis, Tennessee say Elvis Presley, the Mississippi boy whose country rock guitar and gyrating hips launched a new style in popular music, died this afternoon at Baptist Hospital. He was 42 years old. Presley had been taken to the emergency room of the hospital suffering from what hospital officials said was respiratory distress. Presley had been hospitalized several times in recent years for rest and for eye problems. CBS-FM, that's Elvis. It's 7 minutes to 6 o'clock here at Golden 101. It's 79 degrees and cloudy and showers tomorrow also. And police in Memphis, Tennessee say Elvis Presley died this afternoon at Baptist Hospital. He was 42 years old. Presley had been taken to the emergency room of the hospital suffering from what hospital officials said was respiratory distress. Presley had been hospitalized several times in recent years for rest and for eye problems. Details coming up at 6 o'clock.
CBS-FM and Elvis Presley. It's 10 past 6. John from Yonkers just called a second ago, and he passed on his regrets, as we all feel the same way today, don't we? The king of rock and roll. Who would ever think that Elvis Presley, he doesn't die? Well, at least we have his music. That's Elvis Presley. And Can't Help Falling in Love with You, one of my favorite songs, in my opinion, the nicest he ever did. 15 past 6 at CBS-FM. He did so many, though, that I'm sure you might disagree and think of another song. He had hit album after hit album, and he was a generous person. I was just talking to Mike from Brooklyn, who mentioned that when he was down in Fort Hood, in Texas, about, I guess, 1963, Elvis Presley had just left, and he had built a service club for the servicemen down there in Fort Hood, Texas. And throughout his life, there were other stories like that. You might have heard of him giving away Cadillacs to people who said that he liked his car. A generous man, he gave a lot of himself, Elvis Presley. CBS-FM, good evening.
Good evening. I just want to say that I was never really a big Presley fan, but as I listened to the music, I realized how much he did touch me, myself, and the people I grew up with in the 50s and the 60s, and it'll never be the same, but we'll always have the songs.
Thank you very much for your comment.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
So lonely they could die. WCBS-FM.
My husband and I and a few friends went out to Las Vegas to see his show. And the night before he was about to appear, they had the Dick Clark Good Old Rock and Roll show on, and we all went down to see it. And all of a sudden, during the course of the show, Dick Clark announced that there was only one true king of rock and roll. And then everyone started to cheer and clap and everything. And we thought that the show would be like a parody of Elvis. And the next words out of Dick Clark's mouth was, "And he is with us here tonight." Well, my girlfriend and I almost jumped out of our seats. And we're in our 30s, so we're not children. And Dick Clark said, "Please, ladies and gentlemen, do not bug Elvis so he can stay and see the whole show." And he asked Dick Clark for the microphone, and he said, "Tell the people to bug him."
If you're just tuning in, the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, is dead. He died this afternoon at about 3:30 in a Memphis hospital. The man who almost single-handedly turned rock and roll into the most popular music expression of the young died today in a Memphis, Tennessee hospital at the age of 42. His recordings still make women sigh. We're taking requests, not requests actually, we're talking to our audience tonight about their reaction to what has happened this afternoon. And let's go to the phone right now.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that Elvis was the first of the great artists. His first to hit #1 in country and western, pop and soul. He did a lot to bring black music into the mainstream of American music. In fact, the running things, his last release is Pledging My Love, which is now top in country and western. And that's a John Hayes song from 1954. Elvis was great in helping people like Otis Blackwell and Little Richard get their song popularized. And he's going to be sorely missed. He is the king of rock and roll.
I'm very saddened by the death of Elvis Presley. I've loved him since I was a teenager, even before that. And my husband says with the death of Elvis Presley, so comes the death of an era. He was really, truly one of the best. I don't think anybody could ever sit in his throne or on his chair or anything. And that's how I feel. A great loss. It's a total loss to everybody who's ever known or listened or heard him. It's fantastic.
Well, a hard-headed woman.
Elvis Presley, and we're playing all Elvis Presley all night long tonight. If you were just tuning in and wondering what exactly has happened, Elvis Presley passed away this afternoon in a Memphis hospital, apparently of a heart attack. As the evening progresses, we'll pass on more information to you as we get it. We're taking comments, how you feel at this moment after you heard the word, maybe a personal story somewhere in your life. Elvis Presley came into it, and you might want to pass it on to us, 873-3340 here at CBS-FM. It's 7 minutes before 7 o'clock, 7 before 7. Kurt Chaplin with an update on what's going on in the world at 7 o'clock. And we'll be also airing a few actualities, as we would call them, a few cuts of different things, live interviews with Elvis Presley, his road manager, people who went with him. We'll be doing that shortly, so stay with us here at CBS-FM.
CBS-FM, good evening.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Pizzoni. I'd just like to say that I was down in Memphis 2 weeks ago. I have an uncle who lives down there and knows his stepbrother real well. And we went out one night and we met him, and he's a really nice guy, and you don't believe what kind of personality this man has. He's more of a comedian than of a singer.
So how did he look to you 2 weeks ago?
Well, I tell you, he looked really good. He was heavy, but really looked good. This is really a shock. It's like a member of the family just passing away on us.
Right. He showed no signs of being sick. He didn't look like he was drawn or...
No, the man, we had dinner, and we were about 3.5 hours. We were sitting eating, and he didn't drink, smoke, or nothing. He just cracking jokes, and really a real funny guy.
Good person.
Memories of old stories and all, and he was a fantastic man, and I'm really shocked about this.
Well, Joe, thank you very much for sharing this with us.
CBS-FM is discontinuing its commercial type programming for the remainder of the evening. We're spotlighting Elvis Presley, his life and career, and Kurt Chaplin is here with more details on what exactly happened this afternoon.
WCBS-FM, New York.
This is Kurt Chaplin, CBS-FM News, and the big story this evening, the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, dead in Memphis this afternoon, the apparent victim of a heart attack. Elvis was 42 years of age. He was discovered unconscious at his home by Joe Esposito, his road manager, and Assistant Administrator Eva Teague of Memphis Baptist Hospital explains what happened next.
Elvis Presley was found unconscious at his home by his road manager, Joe Esposito, at approximately 2:30 p.m. Mr. Esposito indicated that he could find no signs that Mr. Presley was breathing, nor could he detect a heartbeat. He began emergency resuscitation efforts and called the fire department ambulance. The Memphis Fire Department ambulance continued cardiopulmonary resuscitation efforts on the way to the hospital.
The emergency call from Presley's road manager was taken by the Emergency Ambulance Services Division of the Memphis Fire Department. Private Ed Johnson, Fire Department dispatcher, takes those calls.
We sent Unit 6 down there, and we sent them out at 2:33, and they did transport Elvis, and he was dead. And that's about all we can tell you right now.
Yeah, you mean, in other words, there was no chance he was already dead when he was, when you got to him?
Yeah, we think so.
But the fight for Elvis Presley's life was waged in the hospital after he arrived there. There was no sign of life in his body, no heartbeat and no breathing. but emergency pulmonary resuscitation teams worked feverishly for another half an hour. Assistant Administrator Teague.
Mr. Presley arrived at Baptist Memorial Hospital's emergency department at approximately 3:30 p.m. The hospital emergency resuscitation team began working with Mr. Presley and continued their efforts until approximately 3:30 p.m., at which time Mr. Presley's personal physician, Dr. George C. Nicopolis, discontinued efforts. Dr. Nicopolis indicated that a heart attack was a possible cause of death, but this could not be known for sure until a postmortem examination is completed.
However, a spokeswoman for the Memphis Police Department says detectives are investigating what she called the strong possibility that death was the result of a drug overdose. Hundreds of people have gathered at the hospital and at Presley's Graceland mansion. Scores of police are on their way to both places. That's how it happened this afternoon, as an apparent heart attack suddenly claimed the life of one of the world's all-time greatest rock stars, a former truck driver from Memphis, Elvis Ivan Presley. CBS-FM weather, warm and humid through Wednesday with occasional showers and thunderstorms. Some fog tonight, lows in the low 70s. High Wednesday in the mid-80s. Gradual clearing Wednesday night, lows in the mid-60s. And Thursday, mostly sunny and warm with comfortable humidity and highs in the mid-80s. The present temperature in Midtown Manhattan, 78 degrees.
I will be
Elvis Aaron Presley, the man dead, but his music and the spirit of what he was, a great entertainer, will live on forever. And if you're just joining us here at CBS-FM, we're going to be playing all of the music that he made popular, and there was an awful lot of it. We're playing it all night long, right here at CBS-FM. You stay with us. Also, we'll be following up all of the stories and all of the new items that come out of Memphis, Tennessee about what exactly happened to the king of rock and roll, who is dead today at the age of 42.
Rock and roll music, if you like it, and if you feel it, you can't help but move to it. That's what happens to me. I can't help it. I mean, I have to move around. I can't stand still. I've tried it, and I can't do it.
Do you feel that you've been very lucky, or do you feel that you do have a talent that most of the other people you meet don't have?
Well, sir, I've been very lucky. I've been very lucky. And I happened to come along at a time in the music business where there was no trend. I was lucky. I mean, the people were looking for something different, and I was lucky. I came along just in time.
I heard about the story about him. I was very sad about it. I'm trying to hold it in, but he was the greatest, you know. And he was number one on my list. And he tells people that he'll be legendary number one of all times, even though he's dead. But if it wasn't for him, there'll be no Beatles or no great rock and roll today.
I had the honor once of meeting Elvis Presley out in Culver City in California. And more of a perfect gentleman you can never meet. And I have been a very big fan of him, my wife and I together. And really, our prayers will be with him and to his family. It's a shame that such a good entertainer did have to pass away.